Content warning for sexual violence and police violence, because it's the police committing the sexual violence against other police. This story that Vesper sent me just really blew my mind. And I'm not going to even preface it too much because I want you guys to be having the reaction that I had once we got deeper into the story. But I already kind of gave it away. But so let me back up. Let me give you guys the foundation here. So earlier this year, back on January 25th, two James City County police officers went to a bar in Williamsburg, Virginia. They apparently got heavily intoxicated. And as reported, at least on the jamescitycounty.gov website, on the night that the incident happened, or the day after the incident happened, the police put out a statement saying that there was an officer involved incident in which another officer suffered serious but not life-threatening injuries. Okay. A sergeant was shot. He was shot by another police officer by the name of Michael Rust. So we're going to pick up the story from WAVY TV. It's a wild fucking story, you guys. And the package is going to open with the television reporter interviewing the family of Michael Rust. Again, Michael Rust is the officer who shot his superior officer, a sergeant. And let's take it from there. It's wild.
Would you like to hear it?
I'd love to hear it.
For the first time, Jason Rusk is hearing the 911 call his son made in the early morning hours of January 25th.
I shot Sergeant Gibson. Do what? I shot Sergeant Gibson. I pulled a gun on him because he was advancing on me. Is he breathing? He just fell out.
James City County police officer Michael Rust called 911 after he allegedly shot his superior officer, Sergeant Christopher Gibson, outside a Williamsburg bar, where the two had been drinking together. Video given exclusively to 10 on Your Side shows the two officers before this happened.
I shot him with his right arm. Okay, I need you to take a deep breath for me, okay? Is he breathing? Crying! Is he breathing? I'm trying to save his life!
The 911 call goes on for just over 5 minutes. That's when responding officers show up to find Gibson had been shot 3 times, seriously hurt in his stomach and shoulder. Court documents show Gibson told officers Rusk shot him after a verbal argument. But Rusk, his dad, and his lawyers say it was much more than that.
You know, it started to get creepy.
Jason Rusk says his son told him about unwanted attention he got from his superior officer leading up to the shooting, and that he had reported it to others on the force.
There was a year's worth of grooming that had taken place.
Rusk says his son is the victim of unwanted sexual advances and had been for a long time.
Extremely inappropriate touching, stalking, the grooming, the previous to the incident assaults.
We reached out to Gibson several times to ask him about these allegations. He declined to speak with us. We also requested from JCCPD a record of any complaints filed against Gibson during his time there. We were denied. The video shows the officers at the bar prior to the shooting. You can see them sitting across from each other at the start. Then you'll see Gibson move in to sit next to Rusk. Gibson reaches for Rusk's hand under the table, which seems to be met with hesitation from the younger officer. Then, just about an hour before the shooting, the two are seen leaving together. After Gibson puts his hand on Rusk's shoulder, you see Rusk forcefully push him off and put a finger in his face before walking away. We don't know what happened next, but after the shooting, Rusk makes this claim to the 911 dispatcher.
I told him this is off. He kept going. I thought he was going to rape me. Help me. Help.
If our client was a female, this case would be drastically different.
Rusk's lawyer says the video and 911 call make a clear case for self-defense.
I think it'll show that certain steps weren't taken that needed to be taken.
The attorney says those steps, like looking into Rusk's claims of unwanted sexual advances, could have prevented what Rusk's dad calls a tragedy, which will affect his son for the rest of his life.
He told people from the get-go that he was sexually assaulted. He said no, and he kept on. He said no, and he kept on. If I had a daughter in the same position, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't have an innocent person fighting for their freedom.
Wild. That is wild. That is so wild. Wow, what a story coming out of Williamsburg. And who was it? I saw somebody in the chat saying that this is heart-wrenching. There was a lot of emotion pouring out of this package, pouring out of this story. The 911 calls, obviously very fraught. I mean, and you guys know I don't really have a lot of sympathy for the police generally, but I'm trying to set aside my antipathy for law enforcement and view Michael Rust as what he is. He is a victim of sexual harassment and potentially sexual assault. That makes him no different from any other survivor out here. And he had a right to not be forcibly touched. And what he thought was going to turn in and escalate into a rape. And I would assume he was probably right. He was probably right. Because everything that that sergeant is accused to have done to Michael, all of that is grooming. All of that is coercion. All of that is flexing his power in position over someone who is subordinate to them, which if it in a hetero dynamic, it would be no different. If a male superior was doing the exact same things and doing the same behavior to a woman, we need to look at it very much in that same way. But at the same time, despite Michael Rust being a white man, a police officer, seemingly his complaints and pleas fell on ears of people who were not interested in listening to it. And that is the plight of people who are survivors of sexual assault and rape, is that it's not that people are afraid, and people are absolutely afraid to come forward. And part of the reason they are afraid to come forward is because they think that they will be met with the exact same response and antipathy, disbelief, inaction. Why in the fuck would I subject myself to that kind of humiliation, re-traumatization by attempting to go to law enforcement who usually does not put a lot of effort into sexual assault cases, right? I have compassion for this man. I do. Hold on, and let me figure this out real quick, because I feel for him. And let me say this again. I'm setting aside for the fact that he's a police here for a second. I'm trying to pretend he's not a pig. What does that say about his character? That this man believed that he was about to be raped. He shot, I believe, in self-defense and still tried to save the man's life. Okay. That sounds like the character of a good man. Assuming he's not shit police, which yeah, he likely is. He likely is. And this is not unusual. The amount of rates of police committing sexual assault and being purveyors of sexual violence, that's not nothing new. That's not unheard of. In a lot of places, it's not even against the law for police to have sex with those who are in their custody, right? Not even against the law there. It's not even against the law. But getting young Michael, not infantilize this man, getting Michael Rust drunk to try to lower his inhibitions, to make him more vulnerable, to make him more susceptible to a potential sexual attack. That is exactly what I think we see here. One thing that the piece kind of failed to mention, there we go, was what is Michael charged with? Oh, now I get it. Okay. This is why this is timely, because less than a week ago, Michael Rust was indicted. Yes. So he is, well, obviously, we saw his lawyer speaking there. His father did say that his son is fighting for his life. I just was not clear on what the specific charges were. Has indicted a James City County police officer in the shooting of his colleagues January. What's he charged with? Michael Trenton Rusk. Oh, this kid is only, let me not infantilize this man. He's only 24. Was indicted March 15th on one count of aggravated malicious wounding and one count of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. Oh, really? He's going to beat this case, I hope. Vesper, I appreciate you sending this to me because that story absolutely blew my mind. But when I saw that story, it reminded me. I said, "Oh, there was kind of a similar story. Not obviously a cop shooting a cop, but another story. Continued content warning here for sexual violence and police violence. And again, these joints are one and the same. In this case, locally here in the DC area, specifically where I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, there was, pop up that ABC 7 piece for me, if you could, Will. So, and I read through this already. It's kind of weirdly written, I guess. Yeah, anyway. So a judge grants a former Prince George's Police Department officer a new trial, orders release from prison. ABC 7 News headline. Why was he in jail? Oh, you didn't tell me that in the headline. Oh, well, let's figure this out. So 3 years ago, Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy announced a 7-year prison sentence for a Prince George's County police officer who had been found guilty of sexual assault of a fellow officer. Now, a judge granted that former officer a new trial and has ordered his release from prison. What? I'm sorry. I thought we was tough on crime. I thought we was tough on crime. We letting rapists out early? Huh? What's going on here? The judge believed that Aisha Braveboy's office committed prosecutorial misconduct at the original trial. The original crime was alleged to have happened in the parking lot of the Prince George's County Fraternal Order of Police Lodge in Upper Marlboro. I want y'all to listen. Did y'all hear that? Did you hear that? This woman officer, and I'm not going to say allegedly. I don't give a fuck if they did toss out, granted the nigga new trial. The nigga was convicted of sexual assault. So a woman Prince George's police officer was raped by a fellow officer in the parking lot of the FOP Lodge. Now, you know these cops ain't fucking shit. They are not shit. You gonna rape another cop in the FOP parking lot? Wow. The depravity knows no bounds. So that incident was alleged to have taken place in the parking lot of the Fraternal Order of Police there in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. This is alleged to have happened in 2017, but it was not reported until 2 years later. In 2019, PGPD Lieutenant Richard Talent was found guilty of the sexual assault of a female fellow officer, and then in December of 2020 was sentenced to 7 years in prison. The victim lawyer says that justice was done, but oh no, justice has been undone because a judge has ordered a new trial and released Talent from prison. But listen to this. So Talent, and it's such an odd last name, but Talent, who retired before being indicted, I imagine he probably was able still to collect his pension, to collect all his retirement benefits. Isn't it funny how that works? They set the police up real good, don't they? But Talent, who retired before being indicted, has always maintained his innocence. And after a hearing back in January, he was granted a new trial. Wednesday, I think this was last week of March. Wednesday in court, Judge Gladys Weatherspoon. Gladys sounds black. I don't know. There's white Gladyses, I know. But Gladys Weatherspoon, that sounds like a sister with a salt and pepper wig. I'm sorry, let me shut up. Wednesday in court, Judge Gladys Weatherspoon told the office of the state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, that Aisha Brayboy's office improperly withheld evidence that could have impacted the verdict from Talent's defense, and that the attorney and that the prosecutors handled the case lacked credibility. That's a weirdly written. I know I can't read sometimes, but no, they wrote that joint weird. And this is what the rapist, the convicted rapist attorney said. It said that there was these extensive discovery violations and prosecutorial misconduct, says Dana Brooks, who is Talent's attorney. The judge ordered Talent's release from prison to home detention until a new trial is held or until the case is dropped, which for Brooks and her client is a partial victory. We will see if the state's attorney's office brings charges back against this man. Now, on a different TV outlet in DC, the victim actually sat down on camera. And I don't have her name, and ABC7 didn't list her name. And when I went to NBCWashington.com to try to find the package, their website is such garbage. It's such a bum website. I'm like, God damn, NBC, y'all can't pay for a better website. Anyway, I tried to find the interview where I saw the survivor of this particular assault sit down with a reporter, white woman, blonde. She gave some chilling details about what happened that night, and chilling to the point, apparently it was a police gathering, obviously, at the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge. She said it was a parking lot full of cars. And she said that she left and he chased her down and assaulted her in the parking lot, right? So, wow, I guess a cop themselves is not even safe from violence and from attack in a parking lot where police are just steps away. Police do not keep us safe. We keep us safe. The cops do not keep us safe. The cops don't even keep each other safe. She also went on to detail how after she brought her allegations, her charges against Lieutenant Talent, how she was ostracized by her fellow officers. In fact, she was treated so poorly, she felt as though she was forced out of the ranks. And the reason that she gave, she said, they forced me out because and this is her words, I tattletaled on another cop. And that should tell you everything that you need to know right there. Anything that is not at the apex, again, of society's racial and gender and religious and all the other things, socioeconomic hierarchy. Like, if you were not like white males are A1, like crabs, like the extra large males. Are y'all familiar how we rate crabs? Anyway, the large males are A1s, right? So the white males are A1s. Now, other males is 2s. Now, we can debate how that 2. No, actually, that's not true. White women are number 2, but not even though, because again, the perpetrator here was a white man. The victim here was a white woman. They didn't give a fuck about her. They didn't give a shit about her. She told on other cops, "It's time for you to go, bitch. This is the thin blue line. You know what I'm saying? This is the blue wall of silence. You're supposed to take that rape for the team. You're supposed to take that rape for the department." Insanity, right? Just absolute madness. Toxic masculinity, run a fucking muck. But it's interesting to me when this sort of shit, when all the negative things that police embody, white supremacy, enforcing the will of the elites and the oligarchy, protecting property, the misogyny against women, the disregard for the safety sometimes of children and vulnerable people. Like, why would police think that they themselves wouldn't eventually be on the receiving end of that? Why? Because it's a fraternity. It's a fraternal order of police. Oh, you think them niggas don't rape each other? Shit. Ask Michael Rust down there in James City County, facing felony charges for defending himself from a rapist this white woman cop in PG County, I'm sorry, former cop, because she got forced out after she reported her rapist. Oh, she has to endure yet another trial, maybe. And that's only if the state's attorney's office can get their shit together. Because I don't know what that, I'm not too particular or familiar with the details of that, whatever allegations were made about prosecutorial misconduct, but apparently the judge thought it was the case. So maybe the state don't have their case together. Maybe this man does not end up serving the rest of his sentence. Maybe a lot of things. But what we need not continue to uphold is this morality exceptionalism that Americans weirdly have in their minds about police. Oh, officer friendly who doesn't commit crimes, officer. And I know y'all don't think that, but I know y'all know people who think that. It's wild that in 2023, there are definitely folks out here who still believe that the police are a force for good. And I'm like, I don't know how many examples of the cops being ain't shit do you need to see before you understand that these are not individual one-offs. These are systemic issues, okay? The amount of sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and even sexual assault that happens within the ranks of police departments, I'm certain is underreported for reasons exactly for what we just saw in the package. Can't tell that my superior officer raped me because the cops, whoever I tell is not going to do anything. And then I'm going to be labeled a snitch. And then my life is going to get exponentially more difficult. And potentially my life could be in danger were I to be out in a situation whilst on duty where the assistance of other officers was required. Don't wonder why people don't report sexual assaults and rapes. Like you can't ever say that. Like if you've ever been the kind of person to hear about a rape or a sexual assault and your knee-jerk reaction is to say, well, why didn't they go to the police? Don't ever fucking say that shit, man. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. The reasons are obvious why people don't go to the police. Because the police are not there to help. The police do not prevent rapes. They don't really prosecute a whole lot of rapes. I'm certain they investigate even fewer rapes. Or, as we saw in Tennessee, we've covered this, not today's Tennessee news, but previously we did a story here on the thousands of rape kits languishing in Tennessee police departments across the state. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the TBI, is supposed to be testing these rape kits. Takes some months, maybe 12 months, 18 months. They don't give a fuck. And they don't even give a fuck about themselves. So why should we? We shouldn't. And we don't. Anyway,